And then this is for clearing the decks of personnel, so not turn around to a yoga. So there's no
Imagine the farting and then. Hi guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Woodland Bushcraft UK, and we're somewhere a little bit different today. We're at the Portsmouth Historic Dockyard, and I'm here with Alex.
Good day.
We just had a horrible breakfast. Tell him about the breakfast.
So we went in. We're like, oh, let's try one of the local naval cafes, and we went in, and immediately we thought we should leave, but we sort of got hurried in, didn't we?
Yeah.
And sort of sat down. There's sort of pubes on the plate, and I just thought, oh no, this is not good. And then they brought out something that looks like it was potentially made on one of these ships, and probably 300 years ago. And yeah, it tasted like it as well. And they were kind of hanging around, and I really didn't want to eat it, but I felt like I had to.
I think they're in their late 80s. The building.
They were so nice, weren't they? They were so nice, but I don't think that was in date. Do you?
No, it was disgusting.
And
it's truly disgusting. Like this, it was like a village shop at the same time.
yeah,
It just covered in dust.
yeah, it was a pretty awful experience. It was harrowing, actually, harrowing. I probably would have preferred to eat maggoty bread on one of these ships.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's off to a good start.
So we're going to head on to the Warrior to start off with.
And hopefully they've got toilets on these boats, because I can feel that it's already working its way through.
Oh, you stepped in some chewing gum.
Did I?
Yeah. Hello, sailor.
Hey!
So the HMS Warrior was built in 1859. Looks really comfortable, doesn't it?
Take a look in here. Seems like some sort of master quarters. Obviously you've got your bunk there with a cannon. Imagine waking up with a hangover. Keep it down! Say a little bit of safety health hazard there. Not one, 4 knives in the head. Enjoy your trip around this beautiful galleon. So this is Simon trying to lift a real cannonball that they would have fired. How does that feel?
Yeah, I'd say.
Would you like that flying towards you?
Kilograms, is it? I don't know.
It's 68, sir.
Oh, 68.
So on a two-man harness, because the gun barrel is raised up like so, you've got to get that much weight just under your chin to get it into the barrel in the first place. So
That's another story, isn't it?
and you've got to be fast as well. Warrior's gun crews can get one of these guns pulled in. That's 6 tons, by the way, that gun. Crewed by a team of 18, and you've got to pull the entire piece in, you've got to splash your water across it, douse the gun from the inside. You've got your powder being brought up, your rem shot, and the whole lot's going to be loaded, primed and shot within 55 seconds. 55
Wow.
seconds. Wow.
18 people per gun?
Per gun, sir. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Basically the lads who live next door. Yeah, we're a peacetime crew, so it's a bit of time on our hands, shall we say? Yeah. We've got to keep your fighting boys busy, so it's a bit of friendly competition between each of the gun teams who quite literally live next door to each other, so you're basically keeping up with the Joneses. But then you've got 2 halves of the crew, so we've got 24 guns on the deck, so that's 24 crews, but it's only ever 12 of these guns that are in operation, usually at any one time. So it's your 4 on, 4 off watch pattern.
Alright.
So when you find out the starboard side boys are beating you by 2 seconds, you go, right, lads, I'll pull your fingers down over that. So yeah, it used to be about, well, it was anywhere between 2 minutes to 1.5 minutes was the sort of Navy standard, but these guns are a bit more efficient than the older style one. You'll notice just at the back, that back panel coming out from the gun there is essentially a train track, it's a guiding wheel. These, when the gun recoils, it just comes back in a perfectly straight line. There's no more loose cannon, we used to call them. Guns that come flying back and they catch the recoil line and come off centre. So most of your rate of fire, you get your next shot ready, you'd have to drag, what at the time with a gun half this size, be about 2.5 tons to 3 tons, you'd have to drag back on target in between each shot, which was a bit of a hassle, as you might imagine.
got these reaches.
Yeah, your blocks and tackles, they're usually a bit looser than that, so obviously, because they're not clipped onto the wall at all times. You would jack the back end of the gun up to run it out, and then as it recoils back into the ship, it's coming back at about 35 miles an hour, so you do get out of its way. And then the boys would clip the tackles back on, and that allows you then to haul the gun back out when you're ready to shoot it. Timed explosive shells are also fired by these, not just a solid round, and that weighs 96 pounds. So slightly different muzzle velocity. You're going to be very good at maths if you want to shoot a gun. You've got to know your sums, otherwise you're not going to hit anything. Because half the time, I mean, the barrel's so elevated, it's actually taken up the entire gun port aperture itself. You know, we're able to hit targets accurately at 2.25 miles with these guns.
Wow. How do you work out the elevation of it?
Well, the elevation is very simple. It's, you adjust this to coin, which is just the French word for wedge. It has readings along the side of it. Most gunners kind of, you know, they know the bit of equipment, they know their elevation, but that is also matched by this letter. Well, it's actually a symbol, but it's a theta symbol from the Greek alphabet, and that's for your elevation. And there's 3 separate readings for 3 different sizes of gunpowder cartridge. So you've got D, F and R, and that's distance, full and reduced. So reduced is your close quarters munitions, or you're looking to reduce your muzzle velocity depending on the needs of the ship. Full is anywhere between 500 yards to about 1.5 miles, and then distance is 1.5 miles upwards to 2.25. You then got your timed shells, and they're denoted by the SF reading here, so that's special full, and that's only really effective at about 800 yards, the shell, because it's got a timer in it that only burns to a certain point. Even more maths involved with that. Yeah. And then you've got your close quarters rounds here. Grape shot, because we are the only steam powered warship in the world, so we don't need our sails in a fight, so we'll go straight to steam and look to disable the enemy ship. And then this is for clearing the decks of personnel, so I'll turn around into a yogurt if that hits him. It's not pleasant. Filled with musket balls and chunks of iron, not pleasant, so that one. But each gun you get round about anywhere between sort of 250 to 300 rounds before the gun will become unsafe to use, because it's under a huge amount of stress. So people always ask me, what happens to the original guns? Well, no warship is ever an original gun. They have to be constantly maintained and swapped out. So we carry spares. I mean, on this deck we're a 45 gun ship, and we've got 20 or 26 muzzle loaders on this deck. So yeah, we don't have any problems. But they will build up stress fractures on the inside, because bear in mind this is a smooth bore barrel, so you'll get a bit of a rattle as the gun is shooting. So at 68 pound bores causing those sort of stress fractures up and down there. Stephen Richard Pollard, gunner first class. I serve aboard HMS Warrior as a captain of a gun, so it means I'm quite good at maths. A bit smarter than I look.
So we're heading down now to the 3rd level. Up there is the armoury. So now we're going down to the living quarters by the looks of it. Incredibly steep stairs. So looks like we have master's quarters possibly. Let's have a look.
And clearly we can see where our breakfast was made this morning. But we're now here in some of the sleeping quarters. So I assume this would have been some of the do you think soldiers, or do you think this?
I think this would have been officers, or potentially, well, it's there on the door, won't it? Up here. No. Warrant officers' pantry. So this would be the warrant officers' sleeping quarters.
Should we test out what they're doing?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
I'm sure it's not the same. I hope not. Otherwise, I'll get like the plague. COVID 2022. Guy sits on Victorian bed. Brings it. Here we go.
So as you can see, it's on its own pendulous swing. So when the waves are pushing the boat, it stays in the same place. Let's try it out. Pretty comfy, isn't it?
It's not too bad.
Can you imagine like getting drunk with the lads down on the party deck, if that is a thing?
Should have brought some beers.
Yeah.
It's dry January right now though, but yeah, so not sure whether we are supposed to be doing this, but haven't been kicked out yet.
Like I always say, ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
That sounds that's a bit me too, that. So this looks like sort of prison cells, part of the ship where they kept prisoners, I assume, from war or deserters or I don't know.
Or mutineers.
I've actually, to be fair, I've had worse travel lodges, so it's not too bad.
Viewing ceremony nowadays, whereas Nelson's day they were bringing water from planet fresh from planet on ship with them. After about a week or two, they're standing.
So we're down here in the luggage department of the ship. Here you can see we've got bags. Inside the bags would be hammocks, personal belongings of the shipmates, all sort of stuff. You know they could bring and maybe swap and barter with different islanders they come across, depending on where they go. This trade was such a big part of naval life. You can see here they've got the names of the shipmen. This was Samuel Llewell, who died in, I think he died in 1984. Being 200 years old.
So this part of the ship, not a lot of people know this, but this area here, this grill you can see, will be opened up. And beneath here, there was held a lot of illegal raves back in the day, drum and bass, gunners. A lot of people had a lot of fun, but you don't often hear about it in the historical books.
No. So this is the third lieutenant's suite. As you can see, he gets a nice bed, he gets a window, a shelf where he can keep his rock samples and his Greek poetry. He's got a net there for catching butterflies. Obviously, yeah, classic sailor.
Before the iPhone, before Candy Crush. So, we're really at the bottom of the ship. You can actually see the curvature at the bottom of the ship. And
So this,
would this be an engine room or boiler room?
yeah, boiler room, I guess. And they would have shoveled in the coal into these big boilers that are on either side of the wall. You've got gauges here that says blow down valve, shut and open, letting more air in, more power to the engine. Even more boilers in this room.
As far as the ship goes, look at the first ever warship go against the wind. There was 74 injuries in it.
Character as well.
Yeah, I guess they have to stay in character. Quite funny.
The only thing I was thinking, I would have asked to film them, but obviously they were putting the museum out, the tour out of business.
Maybe they want it, maybe good advertisement. So where are we now? This is the main engine and piston room. Look at that. You can imagine the amount of noise that this would make. There's pistons going into the piston heads there.
The Peacemaker. Yeah, who's going to challenge this?
He said that
At the time.
it was the fastest ship of its time, so strong, being made out of metal that it could just ram in through other ships, completely destroying them. Top speed of 7 knots. Pretty impressive.
24 miles an hour. Once it gets going.
Handling room. Check this out.
So obviously we've seen the officers' mess where the lieutenant slept. But if you can imagine, you've been working all day maintaining the cannons. Perhaps you even got into a gunfight. And you've been, as our guy we spoke to earlier, 18 of you have been working away trying to lift those cannonballs that you saw Simon lifting, which was ridiculously heavy. You're firing them, putting in another one, firing them. working really hard, scrubbing the deck chores, and then you've just got to sleep and set up right next to your cannon. And Simon will be able to tell you, we're here in January. It's freezing cold. It is really cold in here. There's no real heating. I'm trying to think. I think the only thing you could do is really wrap up warm, but it must. Your hands and your face are always going to be cold.
All I've got is a blanket and like a sack, an old hemp sack with just.
When you're on these things and you're really in, you're kind of faced with the reality of what it would have been like on the ship, living life here, and seeing it, you get a real understanding of how much we take for granted, like just having central heating, like being warm. There's no way throughout winter, especially if you were sailing near Antarctic or, you know, in January or this time throughout winter, there's no way you could ever really get warm. No. Your hands, your face is always going to be cold. So it'd be a completely different. It'd be just like living outside in a sense.
There's only the officers and the captain that actually got heating in their quarters.
Or probably if you worked down in the engine or boiler room, you'd probably get a fair bit of heat from there.
Yeah, you'd want to get out of there, wouldn't you? Okay, so next up we've got the HMS Victory, which played a pivotal part in the Battle of Trafalgar. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take you up and we're going to see where Nelson was shot. But yeah,
as you can see, it's great. You've got that old school officers' quarters on the back where it literally just looks like a townhouse stuck to the back of it. You really get an idea of the sheer size. Look at the door here.
How low it is. Go on, you're what, 6'3", are you?
6'3". So probably life I'd have had been crawling around like a sort of goblin.
Been crawling around drunk anyway, knowing you.
Yeah, to be fair. Wow. Okay.
And here you can see the average size of a Napoleonic person. Look at this. It's a lot lower down. And here is where Nelson fell. 21st of October 1805. So out here we can see the toilet area. There's 2 holes in that box, and they would squat and that would just drop down straight into the ocean. And they would have bits of rag tied to ropes, like so, and you'd pull in the rope, wipe your arse, and then chuck it overboard, and that's where the phrase "tow rag" comes in. You dirty tow rag.
Let's keep that. Oh yeah, that's definitely been used. So we've got more bunks here again. Right near the cannons. This is a much smaller ship.
Yeah, a lot smaller.
And in terms of the ship itself, but also in height. And this is quite spacious compared to, we just were in the captain's quarters, and they were no word of a light here. I mean, me and Simon were walking around like lunging through the quarters.
Check out these whips to whip the men into water. You've got cat o' nine tails.
This is if you got a bit kinky. You know what I mean? but we found out that a lot of people have bad backs, hernias. If you imagine that the captain was 6'4", there was somebody else. Was it the head engineer? I might have this wrong.
No, the carpenter was.
Carpenter was 6'7". You imagine. We'll see when we go down below. But even here, if you imagine all day, you're just.
Yeah.
That must have been hell.
Oh look, carpenters are axes. So we've got a carpenter's axe here. As you can see, it's offset, so the handle's coming off at an angle. What else do we have in here? We've got a couple of planes, like spoke shaves, an old adze, got a draw knife. all the gear you need to repair the ship when you're out at sea. Oh, Alex, you found the old brandy.
This is obviously where I'll be spending most of my time.
That's Nelson's bed.
As we can see, Lord Nelson, a great taste in bedding. This is, you can find this on ASOS right now, special January prices. Kind of a tie-dye Moroccan feel to it. So I guess this is where food would be prepared. There's a weevil, the lesser of two weevils. Nick that from a movie.
Is the cooking area. So I bet a lot of heat came out of here. This is where you'd want to be on a cold January day.
Oh, it looks like
Chicken curry.
nice. So as you can see, they were stocked up on korma, delicious korma, shipped in Deliveroo from their local curry houses.
Look at that. Imagine them swinging about. Imagine the farting and them.
It must have been difficult because everyone has their needs. You're at sea. I'm assuming they wouldn't have cared. There must have been a few elbows knocking against each other at some point. But yeah, this is the third gun deck,
Yeah.
each with about as many cannons. You can imagine why the ship was, for its time, just unbelievably powerful and fierce with this amount of weaponry, this amount of cannons going off. I'm not sure how many cannons are on this. Is it 70 maybe? So it's actually 104 guns on this ship. There's 7 levels, and as you can see, it's incredibly low. This is level 6, I believe, and it's just unbelievable that there's so many levels. And look, here we have
The operating table.
yeah, which gonna be nice.
So we're in the rope room now. This is where they would have kept the rope. All this rope is made out of hemp and would have been, yeah, a lot of weight in this part of the ship. But the lower we go down, the more weight you'll come up to find until we get down to the bottom where they would have kept a lot of ballast. But we're in the ship stalls at the minute, and there's, yeah, ropes galore. Come with me over here and see what's in this room. God, that's hilarious. It's more rope blankets. Yeah. Okay, so we're at the stern of the ship now, at level 3 or 4. Smash my head. Got some more swords, cutlasses, rifles.
And this is where the Marines, I suppose, would have come and got their, the red coats would have come and got their rifles,
We've got some
muskets.
weird things here. Cannonballs. What else do we have? Pikes.
Wow.
Spears. Just, you know, if you can see here, you got the spearheads. What else do we have? More woodworking tools. This is probably where the chief carpenter would have done a lot of his work. You've got a collection of saws, different drawer knives. Let's see if there's any maker's marks on here. Come over here with the light and let's have a look. Electro. Never heard of that make. These must be really old. Still really sharp. Loads of draw knives. Some shades.
Well, that was deep. Loads of presented by Victory, presented by Barry White.
So we're here now in the axe department, and this is my favourite place of the ship. There's loads of axes, interesting patterns. Here we have a Kent pattern style axe, probably about £2.5. Pretty interesting. Look, check out that nice vintage original handle. Really good condition. What else do we have? A lot of them are stuck to the side. Pass me the phone, I'll show them. So we've got this weird, like French looking axe. We've got this miner's axe. They've all stapled them to the floor. Can't move them. Don't know if you can see that. Loads of tools everywhere. Got cross-cut saws. Randomly this old American Dayton pattern.
And the biggest tool of them all.
I've just found all the boarding axes. You've got these interesting ones. What else have you got? So they're sort of like basically tomahawks. I would love one of these. And practically you can just pick them up. Very interesting.
So with these little offshoots, these little rooms, these little tunnels you see through here, they're able to get around the ship, which would have been incredibly claustrophobic. They are very small. But yeah, we're on, I think there's one more level.
Yeah. How many levels did she say there were?
7 levels.
7 levels. More hammocks. Another bunk there. I would love one of these hammocks. Look, these are like the bog standard ones. So this is where they'd keep the ballast of the ship. This is right at the bottom. So technically that is the lowest section down there. There's bottles of rum, barrels of rum. Pretty cool. So this part of the ship is the gift shop, and this is where the sailors could buy gifts to send home to their loved ones. So we're in the Grand Magazine now, and this part of the ship is right sort of in the centre, so in case there was any attack, the gunpowder would be safe and wouldn't blow up. So you see there's these brass plate walls, and that would stop fire, that would stop impact from other attacks from other ships. So yeah, pretty dark and scary really. So we're underneath the ship now, or right next to it, about to go underneath. Look at that. You can see in Roman numerals the water depth. It's just, you get a bit of the size of the scale of the ship from down here. Absolutely huge. I would have been petrified as a kid coming under here, because literally underneath the ship. So we're about to go on the harbour tour now, and as we walk onto the boat, you can see a great view of the Warrior. Have a look at that. That's a beast.
HMS Queen Elizabeth, she was the first of the two to be built, and it cost her £3.1 billion. She's 70,000 tonnes, 280 metres of length, 39 metres across. There's 11 metres of that under the water. From the flight deck down, she's actually got 9 decks. Propelled by 2 MT-30 turbines, producing some 48,000 horsepower. Gives her a top speed of 26 knots with a range of 10,000 nautical miles. She's carrying the new F-35 Lightning Strike multi-role fighter planes, being built over in America and cost of £100 million each. Helicopters, she carries Chinooks, Apaches, Merlins and Wildcats. Now, it depends on what she sent out to sea to do. It will depend on what aircraft she actually takes with her. There's 2 large lifts to get the aircraft from the hangar below up to the very large air deck. On the air deck, the 2 accommodation blocks. The rear one is flight control. That's where they control all the landings and takeoffs. The front one, the navigating block, where they do the navigating and the driving. On the Queen Elizabeth, you will find the 679 crew, though she can carry a maximum of 1,600 persons. Automatically lock onto the closest. It will fire, continue firing till that target's been destroyed, and automatically move on to the next closest. You'll also notice the sides on these destroyers. They're angled out to the bottom and angled at the top. That's part of the stealth technology. On a radar screen, these vessels show up no bigger than the average size fishing boat. Gun firing some 25 rounds a minute. Directly behind that, the launching stations for the Harpoon and Seawolf missile systems. 2 different systems on these ships. 2 30mm guns, one either side of the funnel. Again on the back deck, the either carrier Merlin or Wildcat helicopter. They have a crew of 173 on board. Looking above the number there, F-78, just underneath the bridge wings, you'll see a small deck. On that small deck, the 2 rear-facing torpedo tubes, twin sets either side for the Stingray torpedoes. You also notice the superstructure on these frigates, the top bits. There on the end you'll see the white wooden building with the blue windows. That's the original bathhouse that Lord Nelson, his officers, would have used before they put to sea. To the left of that, the 2 pubs, Still and West, Spice Island Inn. I don't know how true it is, always been said that Lord Nelson used to drink at the Spice Island Inn. It's also said both these pubs on your right are very haunted. In fact, spirits have been seen behind the bar. To the left of Spice Island, the entrance to the town Canberra, home to the Whiteland car ferry. See the St. Faith in there. That is a 45-minute trip over to Fish.
Right, so we're on our way home now. It's been a good day. Spent about 4 or 5 hours exploring the dockyard. Learned a ton. What was your highlight, Alex?
I think I couldn't really decide which ship that I was more impressed with, because the Warrior, the sheer size of it was incredible, and it was built so well. But the Victory just had so much history, and it just kept going and going, 7 levels, and yeah, it was just so real being there, and like getting a perception of what it would have been like living in those. I mean, you see I'm a big fan of Master and Commander, the movie, and you see these films and you wonder what it would be like to actually be there. It's kind of the cool thing about, there's a lot that sucks about living in England, but that is definitely not one thing, is how much, sorry, I'm trying not to kill us, how much historical sites we have around and how many things you can go and do. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it right now. Sorry, we are literally going through the tiniest country roads, and I should just slow down, but
yeah, trying to get back. We've got a jiu-jitsu seminar to get to now. But yeah, anyway, definitely recommend going to the historic dockyard in Portsmouth. Any questions, leave them in the doobly-doo below. We're probably really wrong with some of the information that we passed on to you guys, but you know, take it with a pinch of salt. We're no experts. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.
see ya.
See ya.